I would not have wasted 25 years of my life if I knew what I'm about to tell you now. I wouldn't have lived full of doubt. I wouldn't have been governed by this imposter syndrome. I wouldn't have been so stuck and so afraid of failing. I wouldn't have, most importantly, lost my confidence. And I don't want to waste your time. And I don't want you to watch this video unless you're this one person. Because if you are, this video is going to change your life the same way it changed mine. If you're anything like this, like my younger self, someone who is ambitious, someone who knows that they have so much more potential to give and they know they've been selling themselves short. For some reason, every time you try to start your goals, you start and you stop. You get so overwhelmed and you're so governed by your emotions. You are someone who's so reactive and you're tired of living this way that you want changes. But for some reason, you've been living the same day for the last 5 years and you realize that time is running out and it's now or never. This video is for you, and I promise you, if you listen carefully, you don't need any more motivational videos. You just need to apply what I'm about to say here and your life is going to change. Now, the reason I speak so passionately about this is because we all have goals and our goals are different. And most of the time, the reason we want them is because we're at a point of enough frustration that we're tired of living a certain way, that we see ourselves living the outcome, that we were inspired by someone, that we saw ourselves living it. We can see what it feels like, but for some reason, we can never make it happen. For some reason, 25 years went by and I was still in the same place, doing the same things, expecting a different result. With what I'm about to tell you now, I managed to go from working a retail job, working as an Uber Eats delivery driver, to working full-time on my personal brand, getting over 600,000 followers cross platforms in less than 2 years. Now, it wasn't a magic secret. It wasn't luck. The answer was mental toughness. Now, these goals, they're not impossible. The reason you haven't managed to achieve it is because you are not the person capable of making it happen. You are so focused on acquiring instead of focused on becoming. Because once you become that person, as a byproduct, it happens. But what happens most of the time? You enter into this victim mentality, and that is your biggest problem. And I'm going to say a lot of things that are going to hurt your feelings. And the reason I do is because I care about you. I was exactly where you were, and I was tired of being a victim. I was tired of blaming everything and anything. Yeah, it makes you feel good. Yes, it makes you feel productive for not doing anything. But the reality is that you are still in the same place with that still desire, but time just keeps on going by. Now, something that I used to do all of the time was I would look at the people I was inspired by. I want to go and get it. Now, the moment I will start doing it, I'll feel overwhelmed. And then I'll say to myself, well, I can't be the only one chasing. There must be hundreds of thousands of people doing it too. Where are they? They must have failed. Maybe that person was lucky. And then I'd find someone, I'll see a story on Instagram, how someone failed and how someone tried and they gave up and it didn't go their way. And that would make me feel good. It would make me feel relieved. It made me feel like, okay, I shouldn't feel so bad if I give up now. Like I was just trying to find any reason to just give up and quit. Now, okay, that makes you feel good, but you still want that desire, right? That is not your life. You can say that the other person had it easier because they have more time. Maybe they have more resources. Maybe they live in a different country. Maybe they don't have kids. Maybe they don't work 100 jobs. Okay, and what? That is not your life. This is your life. How are you going to play the cards to your favor? Because two things can happen. You can either have increased sacrifice or you can have decreased desire. Decrease your desire is just coming to the conclusion that you no longer want this goal that you want and accept a average life. Accept to be like everyone else. Accept to be mediocre. And I just refuse that. That just clicked something in me. Then I realized I have to increase my sacrifice. That means I have to start taking action. And every time that I did, I would feel overwhelmed. I would get burnt out. The reason that happens is because you haven't learned how to change your identity. You haven't learned how to become disciplined. Because the moment you join the two, you become someone undeniable, and that's when everything starts to fall into place. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can change your identity and become the person that can make everything that you want possible. Now, number one, what is identity? It's just a fancy word of what story we tell ourselves. Now, the way our whole life revolves is around the story that we tell ourselves. Why do you go to work? We tell ourselves this story. Why do you live the way that you live? Because we tell ourselves a certain story. And I want you to imagine what this story looks like. When you have this goal, you must have seen it somewhere. You were motivated. Motivation is basically seeing yourself what your life would be if you had that outcome. You saw it, you felt it. Now that feeling, it led to an action. Now, what happens is that all of a sudden you realize that actually, this isn't as easy as I thought it was. Actually, this has taken a lot longer than what I expected. Then your mind is trying to find excuses. That victim mentality is trying to find any way out to make yourself feel good for why you didn't accomplish it. Because you're going back to the identity, your story is changing. From at the start, feeling motivated, seeing yourself living it, to all of a sudden, life is throwing things at you, pressure starting to build, and then you start to question, doubt, is it going to happen? Our goals don't die. We just allow fear to enter our minds and we become lazy and we act upon that laziness. So how do you change your identity? Well, the key is protecting this story. Now, what is a story? Have won. This is the goal that you want. Now, you have to see yourself living it, which you did, which is why you feel motivated. Now your goal is to protect it. How do you protect it? The key is making sure you learn how to master your emotions. You've been going down this rabbit hole of constantly, I want to do this. You feel demotivated. Then all of a sudden you act based on that demotivation. You act based upon that sadness. You act based upon the anger. Where does that lead you? To now feeling shame, guilt, and regret. So you tell yourself, I need to prepare more. You have all of these sticky notes on your wall. You have all of these notes, all of these quotes. And then the moment you're faced with a problem again, you react the same way. And then you write more notes. You want more preparation. That's one of the stupidest things that you can do. That's like wanting to jump off a cliff into the sea where you know it will make you feel so alive and so free. But what you do, you get there, you need to jump, and all of a sudden you freeze. You go home, I need to do more planning. You get there, you jump, you freeze. You want to jump, you freeze. You don't manage to jump. No amount of preparation is going to make you jump. So what's the answer? You just have to bite the bullet. Now, this is where perspective comes into mind. The question you need to ask yourself is, why am I going to jump into this? That why is going to protect that story that you tell yourself. Because remember this story, it creates a feeling. But as soon as life starts to attack you, it takes a bit longer. Someone has frustrated you. Now you have an extra bill that came in. No matter what life inconvenience, I need to go on holiday, whatever excuse that you may be, is going to start to change the way that you feel. And remember, we act based upon how we feel. So now this changes our mood. It changes our emotions. So from one moment feeling motivated, happy, super positive, now we start to feel negative. Now I want to break it down very simply put. There's something called a frequency chart. A frequency chart is simply put, high frequency state is when you feel super positive, you feel on top of the world, optimistic, feeling positive. Low frequency state is when you're feeling negative, you're feeling like everything is super pessimistic. Now, one thing that you can't do, get out of your head now, is that you can't positively think your way out of a negative way of thinking. How many times have you been in a situation you feel frustrated, upset, and angry, and you keep on thinking and everything just keeps on making you angrier? The answer is stop thinking. You have all of these emotions inside of you. You can feel it in your chest. Now, emotions are energy in motions. You need to learn how to control them, because if you don't learn how to conquer self, you will be conquered by self. Now, these emotions, they can't be destroyed. What do most people do? I was someone who would always contain these emotions. I was the quiet kid. I would hold it in until I could no longer bear it and I'll break. That's what burnout was. I would break. I couldn't do this anymore. Now, you think you're doing yourself a favor, but you're not. You need to channel it. How do you channel it? This is where most people go wrong. They find easy way outs. They look for distractions. They look for dopamine rushes. They look for alcohol. They go for drink. No matter what thing that makes them feel good in the moment, because they feel bad because of all of this pressure, they want to feel good again. But what does that lead to again? Remember the frequency chart, a low frequency state of shame, guilt, and regret. Well, they get high, they get drunk, they have meaningless sex. No matter what escape you find, you do everything apart from actually facing the situation. Then you go back to shame, guilt, and regret. Why did I do this? Why did I drink? Why did I smoke? The initial problem is still there. You still want this goal, but now you're not even focused on that, because you're now focused on all of the regrets and all of the things that you shouldn't have done. So the answer is movement. You need to learn how to channel these energies. You need to learn how to channel it to your favor. So moving, running, lifting weights, dancing, anything to just make sure that that energy now channels out. What do you have after this? You're now in a high frequency state because now you have clarity. You don't have that shame. You don't feel that guilt because you've worked on yourself. You feel good. Now you can think about that situation again. What are you doing here? You're protecting that initial story. You're protecting that movie. I want you to imagine like you go to the cinema, they play one movie. That's the vision that you have in your mind. But the moment you have other frustrations in life, they change the movie. They put a different one. Now you're watching a different one. Now what you have to do is make sure it stays on the first one. The moment life tries to bring a different movie, you need to make sure you bring back the positive one. And how? By making sure you have the clarity to always go back to that vision. Because the reason you saw that vision, you saw that story that you gave yourself, this identity that we've given ourselves is because we felt motivated. At what frequency were we at? We were positive, we were super pumped. We need to protect that, because when you do, it creates that feeling. I can do this. Then you take action on it. What is it doing? It's building confidence. Because every time that you listen to that emotion, listen to that sadness, listen to that anger, well, your dreams don't disappear slowly. Your self-confidence starts to disappear. Your self-esteem starts to disappear. And that's when your dreams start to disappear, because now you don't believe in yourself. So you won't take the action. Well, if you don't take the action, the outcome won't come about. So everyone's so focused on, I want the result, the how-to, the outcome, the physique, the job, the personal brand. It doesn't matter what goal you want. You have to focus on becoming the person by protecting your identity. How do you protect the identity? By movements, because you will be challenged by life. Don't expect life to get easier. Life doesn't get easier. You just have to become stronger. You've been living a life of a weak person for so long that you've been thrown left, right, and center. You don't stand your ground. Now it's time to, by doing the two things that I've showed you. Now, the third thing that you need to do is you need to have your how. This is your plan, the thing that you want. Well, you're going to make mistakes. You might not know exactly what you want to do. And if you're at the point where you don't know what to do, focus on becoming the best version you can possibly be and keep on trying. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Keep on going, trying different avenues. You need to make mistakes quicker, because the quicker you make mistakes, the more you can iterate, the more you can learn. I want this. Then you find the thing that suits you and you make it happen. I didn't know I wanted to do this. All I knew is that I didn't want to be in the same place. So what did I do? I didn't want to be a retail assistant, because I thought to myself, I have so many gifts. I have so many skills to be folding clothes that anyone with zero IQ can do. A monkey can do this. This isn't meant for me. Now you have a vision. You have to protect it. See yourself. Write a plan. What do I want to be in 5 years? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he do everything? Write it down to the T and stick to it. Don't listen to your emotions. Your emotions will get in the way. Do I mean don't pretend like you have emotions? Of course you have emotions, but you are not your emotions. You are your identity, this vision that you saw for yourself. Whenever those emotions come up, movement, come back to clarity, come back to stasis, and make sure you keep on living this movie. At the start, it's going to be very hard. You're not going to believe it. It's like pushing a car at the start. It's going to be very hard, but until it starts to get moving, until it starts to feel natural, then it starts to get easier. It's not going to feel natural doing everything that you're about to do. It's not going to feel natural starting to behave differently, because natural to you is listening into your emotions, living a life of shame, guilt, and regret, which has left you in that same place where you don't want to be. Every time you make that hard decision, you are building mental toughness. It's like a gym. When you go to the gym and you lift weights, it doesn't feel fun, but everyone knows that you have to lift a heavy weight. What does it do? In theory, what you're doing is you're tearing that muscle fiber. When you tear that muscle fiber, the muscle doesn't grow then. It then now feels destroyed, and you recover and it grows. This is the same thing. You are now entering a mental gym every time that you face these challenges. You don't have challenges because two people can enter the same situation and have two very different outcomes. If I just told you, go to the gym, lift heavy weights, and you don't know why, it doesn't make any sense. I'm lifting weights, I'm just hurting myself, I don't want to do this. But if you have a why, that will make you so much more consistent, because you know the reason why you're doing it. That's why you need to have a goal and an anti-goal. What does that mean? Well, basically, what am I doing? What is the outcome that I want? Okay, this is the outcome that I want. Now, the moment you feel overwhelmed is because of what you have to do. Because every action that you take, oh, I don't have the goal yet. I don't have the goal yet. That is fine. But now remember, once you start to change the perspective and realize, well, if I don't take the action, the life that I would hate to live will come into fruition. And then what once felt like overwhelm now turns into energy, because you realize, I get to do this. And you go ahead and get closer to being the person who acquires the outcome. That is the secret. And that's why every time that you have a problem, you have an opportunity. That's why you have to put the reps in. Every time you feel that discomfort, this is exactly what I needed. I've never been through this. I'm going to put the repetition. You just need to learn how to make mistakes quicker, because you don't make mistakes on purpose. It's a mistake for a reason, because you had to learn it. Imagine you got this outcome straight away. It would crush you. Right now, I live full time off my personal brand. I have over 600,000 followers. I get over 20 million monthly views. Now imagine someone gave me that before I made all the mistakes that I made. Well, it would ruin me. First of all, because I'd get so overwhelmed. How do I post? What do I post? So all those mistakes is exactly what you need to get you to where you want to get to. That's why you need to build mental toughness, because you complaining and feeling sorry for yourself isn't going to do anything. So now you have two choices. One of them is now hold yourself accountable. Put yourself in the most uncomfortable situations and get through to the other side, or stay a victim and wake up in 50 years realizing that you wasted your whole life away, and the only thing that you can ask yourself is, what could have I been if I just decided to take action? Now, Bruce Lee once said, hell looks like you meeting yourself and realizing that you weren't half the man that you could have been. And heaven is facing yourself and realizing that you lived up to your potential. And the only way you're going to do that is if you do uncomfortable things. That is the secret. Don't run away from pain. That is exactly what you want, because you're going through it. Get something out of it. Push forward every single time. This changed my life. And I promise you, once you set that map is the identity. The second you fix that engine, that is the movement, the mastering your emotions, then you get into that vehicle, which is the goal that you have, and you just drive. By focusing on today, I guarantee you that your life will change. Now, if you like this video, put down in the comment section what was your biggest takeaway. With that being said, this video is going to change your life, and it means so much to me because it honestly done everything for me. Now, if you want me to help you on your journey, to keep you accountable, to be in a room of like-minded individuals, to get to where you want to get to and remove all of those excuses, and want me to help you on your journey personally, book a call down below. Let me see if I can help you. But I'm glad. If not, this video helps. Brandon Sunwa.